And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of jiu-jitsu. And at first I'm like, I don't know if I want to like grab other people like that. And then and then I was like doing more research. They're like, oh no, it's not really like that. It's like basically like a
All right, Gideon. Well, thanks again for accepting the invite and being willing to share your martial arts school story. I'm really excited to hear about it.
Mhm.
Because, even though I know you from jiu-jitsu, but I don't think I've ever heard your martial arts school story. So I'm
Yeah.
actually pretty curious to hear about it. Um, but so let me give you the rundown so you have an idea of what the interview is going to be like. This is broken down into three parts. The
Mhm.
first part is going to be some background questions about yourself. So, the people that are seeing this have an overall idea of about who you are.
Mhm.
And then we'll go into the second portion, which would be talking about your martial arts school story. And then we'll wrap up with some questions and more than anything, you sharing advice to people that are on the fence and they're thinking about martial arts, right? So, what advice you would give them given your martial arts school experience?
Mhm.
Uh, does that make sense?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Awesome, bro. So, let's get started. And my first question is, how old are you and where do you call home?
I'm 26 and I call home. I guess I live in a small town called Maywood, which is in
Okay.
Bergen County. It's in Jersey. Yeah.
All right.
But I was
All
born
right.
in the Bronx. I moved to Maywood when I was like 7 years old.
Born in the
And,
Bronx.
yeah.
What?
Yeah. I was
I didn't know that. So you and I are from New York City. Damn, man.
yeah. I was born in the Bronx. In South Bronx called like Soundview area.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
still have a lot of family out there, so I still go to the Bronx like on the weekend. Yeah, and then I
Gotcha.
actually work in the Bronx now, so I'm there every day. Actually,
I thought about that. Yeah, yeah, because I know you work in the Bronx. That's interesting. So
yeah.
what made your family want to move over from like the Bronx to Jersey?
I think better education systems for like since we were young. I was
Okay.
7, my brother was 5, then my sister is like I think 10. So
Yeah,
just a better school system going into New Jersey. Um,
gotcha.
and then like it wasn't like crazy unsafe, but there were some like times where it could have kind of got unsafe. So dad didn't really
Yeah,
like that. And then like I guess the living conditions were better. Yeah, it was just better in Jersey.
I could
Yeah.
relate, man. I could relate as a father of two kids. That's very similar reason why I ended up moving to Jersey. It's just a better, I would say like better quality of life for
Yeah, because like
raising a
I
family.
remember, even though I was young, I remember like we had like rats running around the apartment place, and
Man,
it wasn't because we were dirty or anything. It was just like the
oh,
building, you know.
you don't gotta tell me, man. Rats in the Bronx are disrespectful as heck, bro.
Yeah.
I can't tell you like the times that I went there to visit friends, right? And like the rats would literally like, just run over my feet, like they didn't
Yup.
give a damn, you know?
Hmm.
Like they walk around there like pedestrians, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. I hear you, bro. I hear you. So, I guess that's what I was gonna ask you. Like you mentioned already, like you work in the Bronx, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you work in the medical field, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
in a nursing home.
you're in a nursing home, and you help out in physical therapy. Is that right?
Occupational.
Occupational
Yeah.
therapy. Okay, so tell me more about that.
Yeah.
How long you've been doing it? And I guess my question is, do you think that, occupational therapy has any common ground with martial arts? I'm curious about that.
So I've been an occupational therapist for 18 months.
Okay.
What you call it, had to get my undergrad, which I got done in like South Jersey, which took 4 years. Then I had to get a master's in Brooklyn. I went to SUNY Downstate, and that took another 2.5 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I just finished up school, what, 2 years ago now? And then I
Okay.
took my board exam in 2023 last year, and now I'm an occupational therapist. And occupational therapy, we relate, I guess, there's a lot of similarities to physical therapy, but our main
Mm,
focus is more like self-care skills. So let's say like an individual had a stroke or something or had a fall, usually they become like limited in their functional skills, like dressing themselves, using the
right.
bathroom for themselves, bathing, all those
Yeah.
things. Even eating can be a difficulty. So our
Right.
our goal is to basically retrain themselves so they're able to do those things again. and hopefully get back home. 'Cause a lot of the time, like the leading reason why these patients are going here is because of a fall. They're like pretty old and their bones are pretty brittle. So it's like when they fall, they usually break something. So then we got to
Hmm.
rehabilitate them, get them strong, and then bring them back to their loved ones. And then also make sure it's a safe environment for them because fortunately, sometimes it's like they're living by themselves and their kids are like really far from them. And then
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
not safe for us to like discharge them. So yeah, just making
Gotcha.
sure they're safe is our
Gotcha.
main
And
focus.
I'm curious, like, what made you want to choose this path, right? Because this path seems to be very oriented in taking care of people, right? And,
Yeah,
and
so
and
like
helping them.
basically everyone in my family's in the medical field. My dad's an X-ray technician. My mom's does sterile processing, so she cleans needles before surgeries. Then my sister's a
Okay.
nurse.
Okay.
So I knew I wanted to do something medical related. Wasn't sure what. I think
Okay.
maybe senior year of high school or maybe freshman year of college. I was like looking up careers and
Yeah.
I came across occupational therapy and then I shadowed one and I kind of fell in love with it. And then I was like, oh, this is something I think I could do. Like I like always
Yeah.
liked helping people. So I was like, oh, this is a good way to do it.
I was gonna say that that falls right in brand with you. I could see that.
Mhm.
Um, and like I guess, it seems like that is a very important aspect for you in terms of the career path you chose, that you get to
Mhm.
help people,
Mhm.
right? And from what it sounds like, you help them rehabilitate themselves so they can get back home
Mhm.
safely.
Mhm.
Besides that, like, what do you feel like you find rewarding doing occupational therapy?
Just also just seeing the transformation of the individual. Like when they first
Mm,
get into the nursing home, sometimes they have like a lot of pain. So
yeah,
they're like bedbound basically. They don't get out of bed.
right,
And
right,
then like slowly during the transition, they're able to stand up again. And then
right,
later on they're able to walk. So it's just cool to see from like the beginning to end.
right. Like a transformation to a better version of themselves
Yeah,
compared to how they
basically.
come in.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
also
yeah,
then it's also exciting to see them back with their family, Like when the
yeah,
family comes and picks them up like during their discharge and everyone is excited. It's good to see that.
yeah. I can imagine. I appreciate that, man. I have a deeper appreciation for the work you do because my mom is actually right now in a nursing home.
Oh.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing with her like physical therapy every day,
Mm-hmm.
and like just seeing how caring those folks are and how happy my mom is to do the therapy, because she's like, the better I do, the more effort I put in, like the faster I can leave and
Mm-hmm.
get back home. And actually, like, I think she's leaving in 2 weeks, but
Oh,
like,
nice.
yeah,
That's good to
yeah,
hear.
yeah. So like, it's interesting to hear this now on the other end from occupational therapist
Mm-hmm.
perspective, but I've seen it, on the patient side with my mom, like how they are with her and how excited she is, and she shares with me like, "Oh, I'm so excited, like I got to go up and down the stairs."
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me is like I've taken a new level of appreciation because we take that for granted, right? Like,
Yes,
oh, we're
yes,
able to go
for
up and down
sure.
the stairs, we're able to get up, we're able to dress up. But it's unfortunately until you're in a situation like that that you realize like, wow, like I can't do it and I wish I could do
Mm,
it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, man. So, talking about that, you mentioned something really important, like transformation. Like, do you feel that there's any common ground with what you do as an occupational therapist and martial arts?
Yes, definitely. I'm just thinking about like I guess I've seen a transformation myself from jujitsu from like when I first started to now. Like
Yeah,
I've been doing
yeah,
it for 3.5 years. Now I recently got my purple belt and
yeah.
that
I
was
saw
very
that.
yeah, that was
Congratulations,
exciting.
man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But
You
I remember
noticed that's why I wore a purple shirt.
oh shoot, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I did it, bro.
That's
You know,
funny.
this this
But
this is this is next for you, bro. I mean, I know you got to go through Brown, but that's next, man.
yeah. But like I just seen like I remember there's been times when people have been recording me like sparring with or rolling with people and I
Yeah,
seen like the improvements that I made from like then to now. I'm just like, whoa, it's cool to see like what your body can do.
yeah,
And
man.
then even so I remember like when I first started, it was even a struggle for me to even do a front and back roll, and then now I'm able to do it smoothly. Then even
Yeah.
like inverting now is a difficult thing for me to do, and now I'm able to do those things. I'm just like, whoa, it's crazy what the body's capable of doing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, especially for a person like you, like you're really strong, man.
Yeah.
You're really strong. So I think that brings me to, I guess, my next topic. Like, what do you like to do for fun? Like outside of jiu-jitsu and work, besides dancing, partying, and lifting like freaking, like 100-pound dumbbells and shit, and squatting like 500 pounds. You're
Uh,
ridiculous, bro. You're ridiculous.
I guess on my dad, I like since I've been working this past year, I've been liking to travel a decent amount. Um,
Okay, I've seen you, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
I went to Costa Rica last December.
Yeah.
Then I went to Florida in March. Then I went to Ghana and Morocco.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say you were in the Middle
then,
East, right? Or well, in
yeah,
Morocco.
yeah, Morocco
Yeah.
and Ghana in like
North Africa.
May, June. And now I'm going to South Africa next month. So yeah,
Dang,
uh,
bro.
it's been
That's
cool though.
beautiful.
Like it's good traveling and all that, but it's also
Yeah.
just cool meeting people from all other areas. I feel like you get connected
Mm.
with others very quickly because you know your time's limited with them. So
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
it's no like I feel like when you meet someone you know you're gonna keep meeting them, it takes a while for the friendship to form. But like when you're on vacation, it's just like, oh, I'm only gonna see this person for 3 days. So like you just basically like tell them whatever about you because you're just like, oh, it doesn't really
Mm.
matter. Like you can't really judge me. I'm only gonna see them for a few days. So I feel like the connections are like stronger on
Stronger.
vacation. And then
Yeah.
also it's like the other cool thing is like if like since everyone's like from all over, you can go to that country and then they can show you around and like learn about the culture. So it's just
Yeah.
I find that pretty impressive and cool. Because
Yeah.
since I'm going to South Africa, actually funny enough, someone I met in Costa Rica, he's from the country
Mm-hmm.
right next to South Africa called Namibia. So we're actually
Mm-hmm.
thinking about doing a few days there and
Mm-hmm.
have him like give us like a tour, I guess, show us around the area. So it's just convenient, when you know
That's
people.
pretty. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, I think I can speak from like at least my personal experience. Like, it's nothing like being able to travel to other countries and experience like other folks.
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know if this has an effect on you in this sense, right? But like I feel like it opens up your mind and it
It
really
does.
changes your perspective
Hmm.
about how you think about
Hmm.
yourself, about other people, and like even your perspective in life. Like
Hmm.
it makes you realize like how narrow a mindset you had and like how broader it just got because you
Yeah.
were exposed to different cultures, and it's crazy. I don't know if you shared the same thought, but even though we live in different countries in different parts of the world, but like the common essence of like respect
Hmm.
and hospitality, like those things are alive like almost anywhere you go, man. And it's just
Hmm.
beautiful to see that desire to connect with other people, no matter where
Hmm.
you go, you
Yeah.
know? That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So besides all the stuff that I mentioned, you've been into traveling.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you like to do for fun?
What do you call it? I ran track and cross country in high school and
Yeah.
college. So occasionally I like to run just to make sure my cardio's still there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
just having like conversations with like, good people, good friends, close friends and all that.
That's
Just like
awesome, man.
having them teach me things. Then I'm also trying to get better with my finances and all that stuff. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm trying to get into like, saving money, retirement fund, all this. I'm just trying to learn new things.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good age because you're really young, and if you can do that now, you'll be off to. I mean, you already are to an awesome start, man.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah, bro. So, I guess my last question, in this section, getting to know you as a person, what values or principles would you say from your personal life have influenced you uh into starting your martial arts school? I mean, your martial arts journey.
Definitely discipline. Discipline came from running, from cross country and track.
Mm,
Remember, especially in high school, my coach was kind of crazy, not gonna lie.
You
He's
mentioned that. I remember you mentioned that to
yeah,
me. Yeah.
great guy, Coach Healy, but he was crazy. Like I started running at like 14, and this man was already having us run like what, probably like 40-mile weeks as a freshman. 14, yeah,
40 miles a week?
yeah, that was only like freshman year. Probably like yeah, 40 miles. And like we'd have intense workouts, so like.
God
And
dang.
we are running through everything, running through snowstorms, running through thunderstorms, everything, rain, heat,
Wow.
everything. So I was just basically, basically being able to make it through those 4 years. I was like, I can make it through anything. That man was crazy. But I mean, whatever he instilled in me for those years, I still have it. So, and then that just
Yeah.
made it easy for discipline jiu-jitsu. It's like I've been consistently going into the morning class the past three
Yeah.
and a half years and not really been having any issues. Just because, like, if I know I want to do something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really important, man. Like I think we were talking about it now. Like I think that's what I've been struggling on my end is just the
Hmm.
consistency.
Hmm.
And just seeing in others like how valuable that is. I mean, I know that personally, right? Like in anything, consistency is one of the most important things. And
Hmm.
I'm happy to see that you've been, consistently there. And yeah, man, like purple belt in 3.5 years. I think that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, man. So, you know, now my question is, you mentioned already you do jujitsu. Uh, I'm not aware, like, do you do other martial arts? Have you done any other martial arts
No,
before?
no. I kind of wanted to start doing Muay Thai. I told myself when I became a purple belt, then
Uh-huh.
I'll do Muay Thai. Because I was like, I got to get the foundation of one martial arts first, then I can transition to the other one. So, but
Yeah,
it's a good
yeah,
time. Yeah, I think I'll do it. Maybe next year.
yeah. You should talk to Clyde, bro.
Oh yeah, yeah, I should.
You should talk to
Yeah,
Clyde about it. Yeah.
he's a good guy.
He's still an instructor, right? At Silver Fox for
Yeah,
Muay
yeah.
Thai?
I think for the Muay Thai, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And 3.5 years. So like you're 24 now, so you started when
Oh,
you were like
no, I'm 26. 26.
26. So then
Yeah,
you started when you were like 23,
yeah,
22,
yeah,
around that time. So
yeah.
what made you wanna, start martial arts?
I always wanted to do martial arts, like growing up. I always wanted to know how to defend myself because I was always like the skinny kid. So I
Mm,
was always like, I wasn't sure. Like I was like, if it was like a life or death situation, I didn't know like how I'd like measure up. So I
yeah.
like, yeah. So it was always like it was always a thought of mine. It wasn't like I was paranoid, like oh I was gonna get in a fight with someone, but I was just like, damn, I feel like I should know how to protect myself. I feel like that's something like all people should do, and especially like men. I'm not trying to like. I just feel like a man, especially if you have like a lady and like something happens, you should be able to protect her at all times.
I
So
hear you. I
I
hear
knew
you.
I wanted to do some type of martial arts. Didn't know what. And during COVID, I was watching a lot of Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan was talking about like the best martial arts to start off with most peer is jujitsu. And then
Hmm,
I
hmm.
kind of went down the rabbit hole of jujitsu. And at first, I'm like, I don't know if I want to like grab other people like that. And then, and then I was like doing more research. They're like, oh no, it's not really like that. It's like just, it's like basically like a chess match and just trying to improve yourself.
Hmm.
And then I was like, oh, let me try this out. So originally I went to this one place. What do you call it? I forgot what towns it's in, but I don't need to say the name or anything. But
Hmm.
yeah, like when I tried out the class, they kind of like it wasn't like a one-on-one instruction. It was like I kind of did it with everyone, and he was teaching me like
Okay.
far too many advanced moves, and it kind
Mm,
of like caught me off guard. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to retain all this stuff. Like it was just
right.
like overwhelming. And
Yeah.
then also the timing wasn't good. I think they only did like evening classes, and I wanted to do morning because I'm like more of a morning person. And
Right.
then I looked up other jujitsu schools, and I came across Silver Fox, and I saw they had a morning program, and I'm like, oh, this is great for me because I'm like I
Hmm.
like to do things in the morning. And
Yeah.
then my first class at Silver Fox was like one instruction, and they're really like they really slowed down the pace for me, so I like that. And then after that, like everyone was just very helpful. Like everyone that I would be partners with, they were very like helpful. They always teach me new things. Like it wasn't like they were frustrated if I asked a question. So I like that a
Gotcha.
lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, you mentioned this school that you were in, and
Mhm.
it seems like they were trying to have you drink water from a fire hydrant in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Like overwhelming, and that seemed like it wasn't a good fit for you. And
Yeah.
then you decide to look for another school,
Mm,
and something that was more in the morning time because that fits
yeah.
with you. So when you found, how did you come across Silver Fox, right?
Oh,
Which is where I met you.
mm,
And, like if you can talk a little bit more about like some of the deciding factors. You already mentioned one of them, right? That they had an
mm,
early morning
mm.
schedule and that aligned with you. But I'm just curious if there were other deciding factors that played a role into you saying, okay, I want to go to Silver Fox.
Oh, I just searched it up online. It came up. The reviews are real good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then what else is it? Oh, it was close to me. It's only like 8 minutes away from me. The other
Gotcha.
place is I think like 20 minutes, and with
Okay.
traffic you could probably go up to like 30 minutes. So I was just like,
Gotcha.
I wasn't sure about that. And then it was also cheaper than another place. So I was like, oh
It's a pro all around for you, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I mean, you mentioned something, and it's kind of hard, to tell here because I mean, the camera is only so limited, but you mentioned that one of the reasons that you wanted to do martial arts is because, you were always a skinny kid and you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be able to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But, like for me, from personal experience grappling with you, like you're far from that skinny kid. Like you're pretty, you're pretty buff now. But I guess the reason I bring that up, right? Um, I I didn't meet you 3 years ago when you started,
Yeah.
right? But I guess my question is, were you that smaller frame when you started martial arts, or were you already, in this bulking phase? And the other question I have for you is like, what were some of the challenges that you had when you first started, martial arts, and
Um,
how have you overcome them?
yeah, so when I was, I guess, towards the bulking phase, so I was getting there.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think I'm big, a little bit bigger now, but I was getting there.
Hmm.
Um, and then what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I started in 2021 and I
Hmm.
finished up running in 2020. So when I finished up running at 2020, I think I was like 150 pounds. And
Okay.
then when I probably started jiu-jitsu, I was like 158 to 160. And
Hmm.
now I'm like around 165 to 170. So yeah, so
Gotcha.
I've gained weight over the years. And then when I first started jiu-jitsu, just because I was a runner like my whole life, your
Hmm.
flexibility is like very limited as a runner. We don't stretch a lot, and then your muscles get really tight from running. So
Hmm.
there's some moves at first I couldn't even do. Like the triangle was hard for me to even lock up. Just other moves, they're just difficult. Like opening up my hips are just very hard.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so like how I'm curious, like, do you still have those issues around flexibility and like how are you dealing with them?
I still do, but not as much.
Hmm.
My flexibility's definitely gotten better. I think just being able to do the move over and over and over just taught my body how to do them, honestly. Like how to hit the
Gotcha.
angle correctly. I
Yeah,
feel like before my body just was just like, whoa, what's going on? This is very foreign. Um, but yeah, now it's a lot better.
it's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason I ask you that is because I feel like a lot of people, when they're considering like doing martial arts, they have similar thoughts, right? Like, okay, I'm not that flexible,
Mm,
so I'm not in shape to do martial arts, and they don't start. But
mm,
it's kind of like what you said, like you start where you are, and you just keep on putting in the reps, and eventually you'll get to where you need to be. At
yeah.
least that's from what you've just shared so far.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. So I guess, like shifting gears a little bit, how do you feel that, your mental or emotional health has improved after doing martial arts, if that is the case for you?
I think so I'm stronger mentally. Like
Hmm.
it's a
Hmm.
lot harder for people to irritate me or like, I guess provoke me. I feel like in that sense it's harder.
Yeah,
Um, let's say like if I'm going out and like people get real drunk and they like, try and like push me or something, I'm just very like confident in myself. I'm just like, like I don't really have to like engage. I'm just like I know what I can do, so I don't really need to
gotcha.
show off to anyone.
Gotcha. And then in terms of like your mindset, or I guess your
Mhm.
like your outlook in life,
Mhm.
do you feel that it has changed from when you started till now? Doing martial arts?
Yeah, I definitely do think it has changed for sure. I feel like I feel like the group of people I've met in jiu-jitsu made me have like more of a collective mindset. I'm not
Mm,
like just always thinking about like me. Like now it's I always want to help people, but jiu-jitsu definitely helped me realize that it's a good thing to help people. It's even in jujitsu, like if it's a white belt I see and they're struggling with something, like I'm gonna show them like the right move if they're struggling with it, and things of that nature. And then I see if someone's like not having a good day, I'm gonna talk to them and ask them like what's going on, like you know, just like
gotcha.
looking out for others, not just thinking about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And vice versa. There's people that like help me out too. Like if I'm having like a bad day or they see I haven't been there, like, oh, what's going on? Like making sure you're fine. So it's just good to see people check up on one another.
Gotcha. Is like it seems like, is that sense of camaraderie and
Yeah.
that taking care of the tribe,
hmm
like you take care of them and they take care of you as well.
hmm Then like especially if like cell phones and social media, I feel like everyone's like really about their phones to themselves. So it's just good
Yeah.
to see. I feel like jujitsu kind of relates to like when people are outside playing basketball or like playing tag. It's like it's still that.
Yeah.
We're still able to
Yeah.
do things with one another.
And I think it's really important. You bring up a really good point that, especially in the world of social media where I think that, technology overall, it can bring a lot of benefits to us. It can make our
hmm
life better, but in some sense, it can negatively affect us because
hmm
we can work from anywhere, depending on what job you have. And staying connected with people. At the end of the day, we're social beings.
hmm
And now, like, we don't need to go out and be in front of people, because of
hmm
social media, we are always connected with everybody, which
hmm
I think is good, but it hinders our ability to socialize,
Yeah, it
you
definitely
know.
does.
So I think that's a good thing, to stay connected with people and do something physical with other
hmm
people. To like you mentioned, like basketball, or any other sport, like it's a good thing to do physical activity with other folks, man.
hmm
Yeah. So, I guess my question for you is like, how do you feel that martial arts has affected or influenced, who you are, and like how the kind of relationships that you have with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, because you're mentioning like, okay, like when you go into a bar, like you don't really like it's really difficult for someone to get a bad reaction out of you, right? Because you
hmm
know what you can do, you're sure of yourself, and so you don't really got to do all that. Like that's one example, but I'm curious, like, how does martial arts translate to you as a son, as a brother, as a co-worker? If there
hmm
is any impact that you
hmm
probably want to share.
Um, I think very helpful with like hardship. So if
Hmm.
someone's going through something, I feel like I'm able to help them with those things just because like there's been times in jujitsu when like someone's it's like so much heavier than you're just laying on top and you just don't know what to do. And then there's some way somehow you're able to find a little opening, you're able to escape it. And then you're like, whoa, how did I do that?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
from those things, I'm just like, oh, if I'm able to overcome this hardship, I think I might be able to help this person overcome the hardship, even though it might not be jujitsu related, just in life
Mm,
itself.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then also another thing is like if I'm struggling jujitsu, someone has a good position on me, and then they're able to like give me a tip on how to escape. Then I'm like, oh shoot, like oh that was nice of them. So then I'm just like seeing that in everyday life. I'm like, oh, I could just show like I could help them if I like know what to do. I might as well help them, not just be a bystander and just let them figure it out on themselves.
Gotcha,
Stress
gotcha.
themselves out.
So it seems like, not only do you have this sense of community with other folks, but
Mhm.
also it's a caring factor, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody cares for each other.
hmm
Like you care for other people, and then you get it back from other folks helping
hmm
you when you're struggling as well.
hmm
And maybe that reinforces your willingness to help other people as well. So it's like
Yeah.
a good vicious cycle, I guess. That's
Yep.
that's that's good, man. That's good. And then I would say, on that note of positivity, what would you say are your top three benefits that you have experienced in martial arts or because of martial arts in your
I would
in your
say
personal life?
physical physical health is like a very good workout, you know. You burn a lot of calories.
Hmm.
Your heart rate definitely goes up. You just feel
Yeah.
in shape. Even though I don't really run as much as I used to, when I go
Hmm.
for a run, like my heart is still fine, you know. Like I'm not
Gotcha.
able to run as far as I once was, but I still see like if I ran for like a month, I'd be back in pretty decent shape. And all the cardio I basically do now is just jujitsu. So it's good to see like what jujitsu can do for you.
Right. So you're
Yeah.
able to maintain a good level of
Yeah,
cardiovascular
just
endurance
because of jujitsu.
just because jujitsu. Yeah.
Um, And then mental toughness, like what I was saying before, like
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
someone's a lot heavier than you, it's just on top of you, feel like you can't breathe, and you're finding a way to get out. Oh man, it's just an amazing feeling. It's just an amazing
Just
feeling.
an amazing feeling.
Oh man.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times for me, like I find myself, we talk. There's in jiu-jitsu the saying like being either the nail
Hmm.
or the hammer,
Hmm.
and like from folks that don't know that, like what you're referring to in this case, like you're the nail and
Hmm.
someone else is the hammer when they're on top of you, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, like I find myself a lot as the nail,
Hmm.
and like it's interesting because when someone is suffocating the life out of you, you really have to have, like, I will echo what you're saying. You have to have mental toughness, mental discipline to say, do not freak out no matter what.
Yeah. That's the
Find
thing.
your, right? Like, find your way. Like, there's got to be one little opportunity, but find a way and get out, right? And
Hmm.
just keep going. But yeah, I think that that can easily translate into anything that we go in life, So, so far you've mentioned, good cardiovascular health. You mentioned mental toughness. Is there anything else?
Just growth. I guess
Growth.
similar to the transformation, just
Hmm.
seeing how much I could grow as an individual in
Yeah,
jujitsu and everyday life. It's
yeah,
just, I'm just, it's just crazy to see like how it was in the beginning to now. It's just like, whoa, like that's still the same person. Sometimes it's just like, whoa, it seems like it was a different individual before.
yeah. So talk to me more about that. Is like just give me like one example because you're talking about this personal transformation within
Mm,
yourself.
mm,
Is there any particular thing that you can highlight and say, like, when I started in this area of my life, I was like this. And
mm,
now, after 3.5 years of martial arts, like it has
mm.
changed to that. Is there anything that you can provide an example along those lines?
Um, Let me think real quick. I know is one, but I don't really want to talk about running. Already talked about that.
I guess in terms of like if there's an example, and if not, it's okay. But
Mm,
but like in terms of like as a person, right? Like as
yeah.
your behavior or your thinking, philosophies that you've previously had and how they
Hmm.
change,
Yeah.
things along those lines. If
Okay,
you
okay. I don't really want to get into the politics too much,
Oh Lord. Okay, okay. But you feel
but
like that has changed after martial arts?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to. I don't
That's
want.
fine. Yeah, no, 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 no. We don't need to talk about it. All right, all right. I won't poke the bear. We don't need to. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And on that note, on the flip side, what would you say are the three biggest challenges that you've faced, since you started martial arts? And how have you overcome them? And if you haven't, that's okay. But like how are you dealing with them now?
Um, I guess it comes back again to like the pressure, like when someone's on top of you, and just
Mm,
being able to stay calm. Sometimes I still have difficulty with that. There's times I'm
mm.
great with it, and then I don't know. There's some times when I'm just, I guess, not having a good day, and I'm just like, I'm trying to get them off of me, and it's just not working. And then your brain starts to like freak out a bit, but then you just have to try and get yourself to relax again. It kind of goes through the
Gotcha.
fight or flight, and then you
Yeah,
just start to freak out. So I'm still struggling with that
gotcha.
a bit, but I've definitely gotten better. Definitely gotten better.
Gotcha,
Just
gotcha.
being able to stay calm in like, tough circumstances is one. And
Right.
then,
Hmm.
and then another one I guess I struggle with is so like guess I'm trying to work on piecing up my moves, like with
Hmm.
jujitsu. So
Hmm.
I feel like I usually when I'm rolling with someone, I'm able to I have difficulty sequencing moves, I guess. That's my issue. Like I usually
Mm,
have one or two moves if I'm like on the attacking, but I don't sequence them well together. So I'm trying to connect the dots better. Like let's say like
gotcha.
I do a move and then they counter it, I'm able to I guess counter that again. But then if they counter again, then I struggle. So it's like the
Mm,
first and two I'm able to do, but then when they counter the third time, I'm like, whoa, what do I do now? So I'm trying to
gotcha.
get better at connecting the dots.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I guess I'm curious. I'm actually glad that you mentioned something like you're still working on it, like you're still, trying to figure out like how are you going about that? Like how are you addressing that challenge right now of to use your words, connecting the dots in jiu-jitsu?
I guess I guess being more thoughtful during my rolls. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I'm rolling, I'm not really thinking. I'm just letting it happen like naturally, letting it flow. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
if I slow down the pace and then like I actually think about what I'm doing, I'm able to get more of the roll. So like
Okay.
it might not be like a flow roll, but a little bit faster than a flow roll. I feel like I'm able to get more throughout the roll.
Gotcha.
So I feel like
Gotcha.
sometimes I'm going way too quick, and then it's just more of like a fight or flight. Like I'm like reacting to the individual instead of actually thinking and knowing what I'm trying to do. So
Mm,
I'm
mm, mm.
trying to get better.
Got you. Got you. And then is there any other challenge that you're struggling with so far?
With
Or that you have overcome, at this point?
hmm, what have I overcome? I feel like my flexibility being a limiting factor, I've kind of overcome. I feel like I'm
Hmm.
able to. I feel like my flexibility has gotten better, and I'm able to like compensate. Like I kind of know where like my leg has to land, or
Mm,
for me to like get the move or to get the submission. Say like let's say for a
gotcha.
triangle, like before I wasn't really shooting up my hips high enough for me
Hmm.
to connect the triangle, but now I understand like I got to shoot it up higher than like the normal division, just because of my
Gotcha.
my hip flexibility. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're learning the move, the technique, but you're also like learning how to appropriate it to what
Yeah.
your body can actually do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, I now shifting gears a little bit, you mentioned this, high level of discipline that you had in running track in
Hmm.
school, and you talked about running 40 miles on your freshman year, and that was just the freshman year. So, uh I can only imagine that that number probably increased by a lot by the time that you were a
Yeah,
senior, right?
definitely.
So you have to have a high level of discipline to do that.
Mhm.
Um, I guess, what other areas, so it will be fair to assume that, and you already mentioned that you feel like with that level of discipline, you feel like you could do anything, right? Just what
Mhm.
you said.
Yeah.
So I guess like that's something that you had pretty down packed, right? Like the
Mhm.
discipline aspect. But I'm curious to hear, like, in terms of like other areas of your life, such as like focus, right, or determination, like how do those things you feel like have evolved as you've been going through your martial arts school, I mean, excuse me, your martial arts journey?
Mhm. I think my focus and discipline is better
Hmm.
throughout jiu-jitsu just because I know getting better at jiu-jitsu doesn't happen like overnight. Like you have to train and just keep going and then you'll get better.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's kind of like I guess pretty similar with like life. Like there's
Hmm.
goals I want to hit and
Hmm.
sometimes I just like want to rush them. I want the goals to happen now, now, now. But like with
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, I understand like no, you got to just enjoy the ride and then it'll occur in like like it'll occur like later on in life. It's not gonna occur right now, basically.
But you know what it is too, Gideon? Like I don't think it's just with jujitsu, man. Like I
Hmm.
think it's with anything in life. Like
Hmm.
anything in life, if you really think about it, that is worth pursuing,
Pursuing.
it doesn't come quick.
Yeah.
It takes time. Like I'm learning now as I'm like building this business that, one thing I'm hearing a lot is like it takes that 10,000 hours for you to master anything. And, I think about it, I'm like, like I want to grow the business, I want to be at this level. But a lot of times I have to check my own stuff. It's like Rudy, like you're nowhere near, close to putting in 10,000 hours. So you're not gonna get that outcome. Like you're not gonna get what you want now. You got to put in the work. And I think that you're talking about it, so I'm just elaborating a little more that, martial arts is very much so where you get an immediate feedback. And no, that's not good enough. Like you try to use your example, right? Like you try to do a triangle and your hips, you were not able to do the triangle. Like it's immediate feedback, like, okay, like you're not there, you can't do it yet. And it's a process, right? It's you have to get better at it. And a lot of times it's not so much about, you know, the goal that we're pursuing, but who do we become in the process?
Yeah.
It's a lot
Right.
of times more valuable than anything, you know.
You know.
Um, and I mean, like I know how like how much I know how good of a human being you are, and like I feel like I hope this interview does you justice to really showcase that, man. But
Mhm.
I guess in like shifting gears to, I want to make sure that I capture everything that's important. What are right now your current martial arts goals? And I'm curious, like, why are they important to you?
I guess just being consistent,
Hmm.
going martial arts like 3 times a week. I haven't been like the past few weeks. I haven't really been going just because my shoulder's been messed up.
Oh man,
And
sorry to hear
yeah, it's fine. But I just knew it'd be better if I just took a little bit of time off and let it fully recover.
that.
Like I
Okay,
can go to jujitsu, but it's not gonna. It would be like it wouldn't be beneficial in the long run. So I'm just like, let me take some time off. I got my belt. I'll just reset and then come back fresh. So I'm gonna
right,
go back on Wednesday and
gotcha. And
yep.
as an occupational therapist, you probably have a better idea, right? Of what are
Yeah,
the
yeah.
risks of
Uh-huh.
like going in injured and not resting.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I'm just been resting it. And then
That's
doing
awesome.
some like strengthening exercises because it's like my rotator cuff that's messed up. So yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So let me ask you this question because you kind of talked about it already to some extent. But I'm curious, like, how has martial arts inspired you to be more active within your close community, right? Like, you already gave some examples of how the community that you're part of, at Silver Fox, they're pretty caring, where like, you mentioned how you see somebody else struggle, you help them,
Mhm.
but other people, when they see you struggle, they help you as well. So you've become more involved, more proactive in helping people. But I'm curious, like, if outside of martial arts, like the art itself, right? Like jujitsu, I'm curious if it has helped you to be more active in other communities that you're part of, or
Mm,
even with your sibling, because I know your brother's also doing jujitsu.
yeah, I got my
So,
brother do jujitsu.
right. So I'm
Um,
curious if there's any, more involvement because you share a common ground or just in general.
gotcha. Yeah. I'm trying to think. My brother, yeah, we have a good relationship. Like after jujitsu, if I'm not working, we got breakfast a few times after jujitsu, and then
Mhm.
we'll do a lot of active things together. Actually, I took him rock climbing with my friends like a few
That's
months
awesome.
ago. Took him kayaking a few years ago. I take him a lot of things that were like active. Took him hiking, take him to the beach. So I see that he likes to be active. So we usually do things that involve around like physical activity together.
That's
Enjoy.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So I guess for me, like if there is one thing that you can pick in your life that you say like, okay, martial arts has helped me change the most in this one area of my life, what would that be?
I'd say patience.
Hmm.
Yeah, patience. Patience. Because like I was saying before, yeah, So I got a decent amount of student loans from grad school. And then there's some goals I want to hit. You know, I want to get into real estate in a few years. Then there's
Hmm.
places I want to travel to. And then it's like all those things. Sometimes I just want it to happen overnight. I'm just
Yeah,
like trying to rush, 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 rush. And then
right,
sometimes I gotta sit back and realize like, well, that's just not gonna happen.
right,
You gotta work hard to
right.
get these goals. And right now I've been actually enjoying the process. Like I have a decent amount of student loans. I don't like that, of course, but I've been
Hmm.
pretty consistent of paying my loans every month and just seeing the number drop monthly is just cool to see. And I
That's
just can't
awesome.
go hit that 000. So
I hear you. I hear you. So it's just patience. It has helped you a lot
hmm
because from what you're sharing, like even though you already brought a pretty strong athletic background as a track runner, right? But there were other areas that you were not they were not as natural to you, like flexibility,
yeah.
right? And just like staying the course and to use your language, like being consistent has
hmm
probably taught you to be more patient and
hmm
just as you mentioned right now, like enjoy the process a little bit more. And
hmm
instead of being so focused on the actual end goal, right?
hmm
And I feel like I'm glad you share that, man, because I feel like a lot of us, not only you, but a lot of us struggle with that because unfortunately, for better or worse, like we live in a microwave society,
hmm
where we want everything yesterday.
Yeah.
It's and for better or worse, like a lot of humans, I feel like we're just wired for instant gratification, and a lot of us tend to be so I would say just overtaken by like short-term thinking, right? Like or
hmm
short-term goals, and it's just like, okay, I just want immediate feedback, immediate gratification, and long-term thinking or long-term objectives take more discipline, more patience, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that and just sharing your how martial arts has helped you with those areas of your life. Now, let's move into the last part. So this is more, you sharing and giving advice to other people that they might be watching this right now and they might be thinking, considering to do martial arts, or maybe they think they're not a good fit, for whatever crazy reason. They think that martial arts is not for them. So having said that, what advice would you give someone who is right now thinking about starting martial arts, but isn't sure if this is uh, a good path for them? What would you say to them?
I'll just tell them to just do it, you know? Just walk into those doors, honestly. Like that's the
No,
best way to find out if you're gonna enjoy it or not. You gotta walk into
gotcha,
those doors and try it out. Because
gotcha.
I feel like we all procrastinate. There's things we want to do, and then until you actually like, go that place or purchase that thing, you're never gonna
Hmm.
know if you're gonna like it. You're gonna
Gotcha.
have to let it
Make
know.
sure. I guess there's only one way to find out, right? Like you just have to try it.
Yeah. And then if you don't like it, hey, you don't like it, but at least you tried. Just move on.
Exactly. Gotcha. Gotcha. And I'm curious, like, did you ever had like that level of procrastination when you were thinking about doing martial arts, or for
Yeah, I
you it was
did.
like, you thought about it and you did it?
I had some procrastination. I was thinking about it for a while. I knew I wanted to do some martial arts. I think I want to do Muay Thai at first. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. Sorry about
Gotcha.
that. So what was I talking
Yeah, you
before?
were talking about like procrastination,
Oh
or like
yeah,
you
yeah,
procrastinated for a little bit doing martial arts, and you mentioned that initially you wanted to do Muay Thai, but
yeah.
then you
But
changed
then
your
like,
mind.
yeah, I didn't want to like really get hit in the head. I was like,
Gotcha.
I know like you always see about those long term effects of getting hit in the head. I'm just like CTE and all that. Wasn't
Yeah,
feeling that, so I was like, let me see how jujitsu is, and then
gotcha.
Joe Rogan taught me about jujitsu, and then I was like, okay.
Gotcha. 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 And I guess, like for people that might have a similar roadblock as you did, procrastination, like I'm curious, like how did you overcome procrastination and how would you recommend someone that is right now procrastinating, kicking the can down the road about stepping a foot inside a martial arts academy?
I know it just sounds very simple, but like you just have to call and go in. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just have to do it. Like, yeah, you just have to do it.
And I think one thing I'll expand on that, like one thing I've learned, in this stage of my life, and I'm teaching this to Sophia, my daughter, and Benny, is that a lot of times we confuse and we use simple and easy interchangeably, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of times something can be simple, like what you need to do is simple, but it doesn't always mean that it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to learn that there is a very important distinction between, okay, what you need to do is easy. This is it. I mean, it's simple, but doing it, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate it. I think, that's one of the, I would agree with you. One of the best things to do is just do it. Like just a lot of times I feel like, like Cicero said, like not Cicero, I'm sorry, Seneca said that we suffer a lot of times more in our minds than in reality, you know?
Yeah. I think we're like, oh, we overthink things a lot, and then when you overthink, you come up with all these like scenarios of like what could happen if you start, and then that just kind of messes you up. Sometimes you just gotta,
Gotcha.
don't really think about it too much, just do it, and then
Just do
you
it.
know.
Yeah. And then, how do you think martial arts can help someone who might feel intimidated or unsure about joining a class?
Oh, I think intim. Um.
So I guess my question, another way to phrase it, right? Like someone that right now is unsure to do martial arts and whether it's beneficial for them or not. Having, in your experience, right? Like after being in the game for 3.5 years, what would you say to them when they're thinking about whether it's going to be beneficial to them or not?
I think it's 100% beneficial. Yeah, I definitely feel far more confident in like my self defense ability nowadays. It's
Hmm.
very good for your health. You get fit from it. You get stronger from it.
Hmm.
Most people, they in their lives are just most people just work and they don't really have time to go to the gym. They work, they see their family, they watch TV, and then they repeat that like day in, day out. Most people
Monotonous.
unfortunately, most people don't really go to the gym, and most people are never are not able to go through a scenario where you're like kind of in like a life or death situation. It's not like jujitsu is not a life or death, but like a grappling situation like daily. And so like us when like if someone grabbed our like wrist or like shoulder, like we kind of know what to do. We know what to expect. But just like a normal individual that's never had someone do that, they're gonna freak out. Us, we're gonna stay calm and know like know what to do. So
Gotcha.
that's
Gotcha.
what I learned from jujitsu.
For sure, for sure. And like looking back, you've been doing, jujitsu now for 3.5 years, and you're now thinking about possibly doing Muay Thai.
Mm.
But I guess knowing what you know now and all the lessons that you've have learned, what would you say if you could see right now yourself 3.5 years ago? What advice would you give that the younger you before he started?
Hmm.
What advice would you give him, knowing what you know now?
Um, I guess before I started, I was pretty intimidated too. I wasn't sure like how people were. I wasn't sure if they're gonna try and break my wrist or like break my ankle or something. I wasn't sure like how they were to like newcomers. So I'd
Yeah,
probably tell myself that everyone's pretty welcoming. They want to see the best in you. They're not like they don't want you to like not come back. Everyone's very caring and like they're here to help, not here to
yeah,
not have you stay. So
yeah.
that's one thing I'll tell myself. Another thing I would tell myself is, in the beginning and still now, that you're gonna make a lot of silly mistakes. Like you might feel awkward doing those movements, but over time, your body gets more comfortable with it. So, just embrace those awkwardness that occurs with jujitsu, basically.
Gotcha. And on that thought, like what would you say, what do you think people often misunderstand about martial arts when they're first thinking about it?
I feel like people just think about it's like, beating each other up.
Hmm.
but like
Hmm.
it's far more than that. It's not about like submitting the individual. It's more about like, learning the new move, like being able to sequence your moves better, being able to flow better, those things. Like I feel like people just think about like, oh, if I'm able to submit the guy, I'm better than an individual. But that's not always the case. Like you could have had a lucky day. Maybe the person's like never seen the move you done, but then when you try and do it again, it just doesn't work out. So like I feel like jujitsu is more about like being able to like, connect your moves together, flow, and just enjoy the process.
Yeah, yeah. And the last question I have for you, is there anything that you feel like it's important to share about your story or something that you want to share in general that I haven't asked you yet?
Mm, I feel like you asked a decent amount of questions. You did pretty well, the interviewer. Uh,
Thanks, man.
I think is like regardless of what you're going to, whatever is limited in your body, you should start
Hmm.
jujitsu because like
Hmm. Hmm.
we're all going through things. None of us are perfect that do jujitsu.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
whatever like you think is going to impact you, like still do it. Who cares? You know,
Gotcha.
like all
Gotcha.
types of practitioners. There's people that's blind. There's people that have like limited fingers. There's people that don't even have legs that are doing jujitsu. There's all people out there. So
Yeah.
like I think whatever you're going through, there's someone that's going through the same thing or maybe even worse. So
Yeah, definitely.
just
Well,
don't let
yeah.
that don't the excuses don't let that be the reason you don't do it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I appreciate it, Gideon. I think that's a wise advice. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for your
No
time.
problem.
I appreciate it.
No
And thank you for sharing your story, man. Let
no
me just
problem. No